The only thing that I see being a problem with it isn't necessarily a problem with the film itself, because he's good in the film. It's that he's getting on a bit, and there's the whole Hollywood thing with Pedro. It's that they are. It's as if Marvel are looking for their like leading actors, right? Their leading men, as it were, whether they're men or not. And before they had, Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth. And I know they still kind of have Chris Hemsworth, but not really. And the other two are just gone. Well, besides Doctor Doom, but that's a whole different thing entirely. And it's like, if they want Pedro to be like a thing, I don't see that happening. He's too old. Like, they need... so, for example, I've heard a rumour that when they cast the X-Men, they're casting unknown actors for the most part. And that's a good thing. You need to cast people that don't have commitments elsewhere, because otherwise they are not going to sign on to do a decade-long deal, You can't expect a guy like Pedro, who is getting on a bit now when it comes to action stuff, who has got more money than God at this point, probably, due to how many massive roles he's had in the last few years, to just keep doing it. Even Tom Holland, I think, before has spoken about how he doesn't really know how much longer he wants to do Spider-Man for, because he's already got money for life, The guy's been Spider-Man now since Civil War, and what's that? Civil War might be 10 years ago. Like 10 years of Spider-Man is longer than Toby did it, or Andrew did it. And as much as they're like restarting the fresh with brand new day, it's still like, how much longer will Tom Holland keep playing Spider-Man for, when he said before that he's kind of getting there with it, and he himself isn't the youngest anymore. It'd be nice for them to do some stories that are not Spider-Man in the younger years, but they would use to age up the MCU version. Tom Holland is the older version, but it's like the Peter Parker in the MCU is not, you know what I mean? It's still like, it's right. They could do with like late 20s version of Spider-Man in the MCU and have that be Tom Holland if he's willing to do it. But again, you've got enough money that they don't really need to. This is the thing. I don't know if you saw that interview, like Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner declined to do season 2 of Hawkeye because they offered him half the money for the same role. Yeah, he can't do that. Disney's got more money than the universe has ever had. And guys like Jeremy Renner that have been an Avenger now for over a decade, they're not desperate for that money. You've got to pay them what they're worth, otherwise they're not going to work. At the end of the day, it's work. People at that level need to pay more than doing it. And at some point they've got a mission where they might not bother at all. So yeah, I think that the film itself is good. It's that I don't think that Pedro was a good choice for Reed Richards, because how many more times is he going to be willing to come back and play Reed Richards? And I know that they're on about like doing a soft reboot, which is almost definitely going to be about Wavering, by the way. But I think they still intend to keep some of the original cast. Like the guy who plays Johnny, that guy who's just started doing everywhere, he could do it for a while. He's new enough that he could do a 10-year tenure. Pedro, not so much, But, I think the weather starts to calm down now. I like the film. We'll head on.
I think I'm really lucky that my local CEX seems to get new stuff in so frequently. Given that I visit, as frequently as I do, the fact that every time I walk in I manage to find something that wasn't there before, or that something is different. It's kind of like, what's that game where it used to be a little book and you have to try and spot the differences? There'd be two pictures, left and right. They'd be identical, and the book would tell you that there was something different about each one and you had to try to identify what it was. Every time I walk into CX, it's like that. So look, they've moved where everything is now. They've moved all the PlayStation 1 and 2 stuff around. They appear to have like quadrupled the amount of consoles they've got. Sadly, they've got a variety of different PlayStation 3s there, but not one that I would like. And I am still so tempted by that Demon Souls. The temptation to buy that Demon Souls is increasing by the week. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to not buy it for. I might, after I finish recording this voiceover, go and have a look at how many of them are in stock across like the entirety of CX to see how common it is. Because if it is like fairly common, I'll hold off. But if there's not many of them, maybe I'll pull that trigger, because it is cardboard at the end of the day, and with cardboard you kind of do almost have to accept some sort of wear and tear. Like my Silent Hill 2 on PlayStation 2 is in not great condition, and it's kind of annoying. And there is a way I could solve that. There is a really good way I could solve that.